Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zach Clark, and with me as always, Phil Blackman. Phil, how's it going, man?
Yo, what's up, dude? We're gonna talk about I don't know. We're gonna talk about pets today. Talk
Yeah,
about
let's talk
all
about
the
pets. Let me turn my lights on. Jeez, like a daggone amateur over here.
Bro, you're just being an amateur over there while I'm trying to talk about pets.
Yeah, man. Pets, shop smart, shop pet smart. Yeah, man.
Honestly, so today we're gonna talk about Displacer Kitten, and PetSmart is what that deck should be called because it's got a pet, and everybody thinks it makes them feel smart to go off of the card that does everything for free.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, combo decks will combo.
Combo decks be comboing.
Yeah.
Do you want to get any housekeeping out of the way before we dive into talking about this card?
Yeah, let's get some housekeeping.
Your boy got things to say. Your boy got things to say about it.
Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. We should start by thanking all of our Patreon members. If you are a Patreon member, you are loved
so
and thank
attractive.
You. Beyond that, if you're interested in joining our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/eternaldurdles. We had 2 new patrons. One of them asked to not be named this week, so I will keep that mysterious, but still much appreciated. I'm not no one's mad about that. If you're interested in this sort of content, legacy Magic the Gathering content, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. Tell me what deck you play. Tell us what deck you play.
Also, you can also you can rage with them if you don't have anything that you actually want to say. If you do have things you actually want to say, we'll talk to you. We'll respond to those comments. But even if you're just like
all the comments,
even if you're just like Phil's kind of doofy looking, get him out of here, get him off the screen. That works too. Like literally words, doesn't matter what they are.
Yep. I think that's it. Hey, let's talk about MoxField while we're doing all this housekeeping, right?
Have you heard of MoxField?
I've been using MoxField like a month.
Yeah, dude, especially after our EDH episode last week.
Yeah, I actually built like 3 or 4 more new decks, which are all like, look at this. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. Guys, here's one.
Zach's at the point of his EDH deck building where he can just he can just reach anywhere in a room and just lift up anything, and there's a deck behind it, and he can be like, oh, perfect, I can play.
I mean, if we look up here. Oh my God!
We're gonna go on a journey.
Like 20.
Went on a journey
right there.
Yeah.
I love brewing, and I don't get to do it as often in the more solved formats. So that's why I find EDH to be kind of fun. Anyhow,
bro, you can just reach, grab your loot tree, and then you can EDH deck build directly into Legacy, my guy.
Yeah. Well, then. So anyhow, MoxField. What is MoxField? MoxField is a website where you can do deck building right on the website there. You don't need an app. It works with your works with your iPhone. It works with your Android. It works with your Mac. It works with your PC. It is a one-stop place to go to build and share deck lists. Not to mention there's a lot of great social features on that. You can see how many people have viewed your deck and stuff like that too. Comments. You can write a primer for your deck so that people can look at it and be like, well, what is this even doing? And you're like, oh, this is pre-modern Doomsday. I win by looping Ebony Charm 1,000 times. That's really cool. So you can basically get your blog on, right?
Yeah.
And
out.
we all know that I'm a big blog fan. So anyhow, moxfield.com, check it out.
All right, bro. True or false before we dive into the rest of it? Should ATOGs come back? Is Modern Horizons 3 going to have a 1-mana broken ATOG?
1-mana ATOG? Ooh.
Yeah, are we going to have the new ATOG, the Ragavan that's an ATOG? Right?
ATOG, what would you even call that?
A Togavan.
Unatog?
A Togavan, yeah.
Yeah.
Ragatog.
Ragatog.
Yeah.
Foratog.
Busted.
Foratog. I have a ATOG EDH deck somewhere.
There you go.
It's kind of stupid.
I'm kind of annoyed that we haven't gotten Sensei of the Magus of the Sensei's top yet. We were just in Kamigawa. How do we not get Magus of the Sensei top in the command product?
You would think, right?
You would think.
One mana, 1 blue mana for Magus of the Sensei's top.
Yeah, it's exactly Sensei's top, except it's 1 blue mana, which means that it's exposed to creature removal. It would be great.
It has haste, and you can tap it to It's an
You can
0-1,
tap it,
of course.
You can tap to
couldn't
draw the
attack with
card,
it.
but you can also sink the mana immediately to rearrange the top cards. Like that's pretty hot, you know?
Yeah,
it's pretty
I
hot.
like it. I think
would be hot.
that's a great design. Phil, WotC should hire you for this.
I think WotC, I think if WotC, everybody who's like, who has ever been like, man, I really wish I could work for WotC. I imagine that a lot of the time it would be a don't meet your hero situation, like your relationship to the game would definitely change because they aren't testing for legacy.
Yeah, this is
anyway.
True. This is true.
Let's talk about the kitten. So Displacer Kitten commander product, obviously not thinking about legacy in mind, but has a busted effect. It's 4 mana 2/2. Everybody knows what it does at this point. It's been putting up a lot of results. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, flicker a permanent you control, and it comes back immediately. So people have been breaking it with Karn. They've been breaking it more so with the War of the Spark Walkers, with Teferi and Narset.
Just gonna draw all the cards.
Draw the cards, rattling through what the combo is. I mean, everywhere. It's literally we talked about everywhere. But the Karn combo is if you have a Karn and a cat, plus any non-creature spell at all, it's a kill because Karn can go get LED. You cast the LED, flicker the Karn, crack the LED, make some mana, get with the new Karn, a Tormod's Crypt, play the Tormod's Crypt, flicker the Karn, sack the Crypt, targeting yourself, which will exile the Crypt and the LED. And then you can continue that loop because Karn has the dumb clause on it that says you can get cards from exile and or your... Yeah, obviously, because that text needed to be there. So that's an instant kill. You just make infinite mana, and then you either lock them out with Lattice, or you get an infinite Walking Ballista.
You
and
cast
just go
Fireball.
Cast a big old fat Fireball.
Yeah.
But then the more common thing that we've been seeing with it is it combos with Teferi and Narset to just bury your opponent in card advantage, or with a 0 mana artifact like Engineered Explosives or Mistress Bauble. If you have the cat and a Teferi, the Teferi picks up the 0 mana artifact. You replay the 0 mana artifact, flicking the Teferi. Teferi rebounces the 0 mana artifact. You do this ad nauseum until you pick up as many cards as you want out of your deck, which means that you either get to sculpt your perfect 7, or you can go off with like a mentor, making a bunch of tokens, and then passing with like mono counter spells in hand or whatever. It's just another incidental I win button in your otherwise mid-range prison control deck.
Phil,
So
do you have a pet cat?
I have 2 pet cats. Yes.
I heard cat in the background. I was like, are you making that sound?
It's flavorful. I invited them on the cast today to talk about it.
Awesome.
So I think the one thing that we've been that has happened is that there is a lot of explosiveness with Kitten in the Kitten decks, and I feel like a lot of the conversations that I've been having recently are about how good the Kitten is. And I think that the Kitten is just a flashy thing that's actually stealing from what the powerful stuff is. I look at Kitten the same way I look at Days Undoing. Days Undoing, the card itself, is only good when it's paired with Narset, or if it's paired with Hull Breacher, or if you're flashing it on your opponent's end step, getting some kind of value off of Teferi's +1.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the card by itself, naked, is not good, right? Like you're not putting it in your deck unless you're trying to combo it with Narset. It's the same thing, really, I think, with Cat. The Cat isn't good by itself. You need the other thing to pair it with, but it's only really getting those big flashy moments that are catching Legacy by storm when it's paired with one of the Prison Walkers in Teferi and Narset, which, I mean, yeah, the combination of Teferi and Narset are already a pillar of the format, and they're going to stay that way for a long time. I think it is kind of crazy that there's the calling for like expressive iteration get banned because of its how close it is to dig through time, or like how close the play patterns are to dig through time, versus Narset, which is literally over 2 turns of dig through time, plus the static lock
plus
effect.
abilities,
plus the ability. So I'm not here to put the kibosh on the Cat. Like obviously the Cat is going to be as powerful as the things that are put around it are, and the fact that it triggers off of any non-creature spell, including 0 mana artifacts and stuff like Daze, means that you can protect it fairly easy. And if it comes down with one of those walkers, you're likely to win the game. The thing is that I don't think that that's the Cat's power level. I think that that's the abuse of how egregious the designs of Teferi and Narset are. So I implore the Legacy community, as we continue exploring the kind of Cat decks that we can go into, that I don't want people to start building decks with the Cat and then recognize that those brews aren't working and going, what's going on? Why is the Cat so powerful except in these other shells that we're exploring? And I think it's because the Cat is supplementary to the inherent power level that is the broken design of those War of the Spark Planeswalkers. So similar to how Days Undoing is an insane card when it goes off in tandem with one of the combo pieces, it's similar with Cat. That's really all I have to say about it, like primarily, other than like getting into specific deck lists. But Teferi and Narset are the powerful thing to be doing. Cat is just supplementary to that. You're already, if you have a Teferi or a Narset on the table already, you are well ahead in that game. Like the static effects are already going to be pretty powerful. And I think that like going long, the Teferi and Narset shell are going to get more and more of those kinds of toys that just naturally combo with their static abilities or any of their abilities anyway, because they're card draw engines plus prison pieces. And I think the combination of all those things condensed onto such like powerful, difficult to interact with game pieces is going to just be primed for more things like Cat to be printed in the future. And then we're going to see new combos. So first is Days Undoing, then it's Cat, then it will be the next thing. But the thing is that the next thing is just the same as those other ones. The power is in the pillar. You know, it's like if we get a busted 1-mana artifact that all of a sudden is crazy because Urza Saga can tutor it up uncounterable. Well, it's like, yeah, that artifact is good, but it's really Urza Saga that's doing the work. You know what I mean? And I think it's the same thing with these War of the Sparkwalkers. So yeah. As you lose to Cat, recognize that when you're trying to beat the Cat decks, stopping the Cat isn't really the thing that matters. It's stopping the Walkers, because the Walkers are what are enabling the Cat to actually be a playable card.
Turns out Red Elemental Blast deals with all of them.
You know, I've been trying to
Good
think
thing
about
we're playing 6 of them in every deck.
You know, I don't feel as bad about the 6 Pyroblasts as I do when the decks can start adapting to the fact that there are 6 Pyroblasts, whether that's combating it with their own Hydroblasts or combating it with like playing more Flusterstorms.
Not blue. Just
like essentially when the shift of like, oh, if there's 6 Pyroblasts and they hit every card in my deck, I will just play to beat those I'll play the answers that beats the answers, because when I can deal with the answer, I win the game because these cards are so stupidly powerful. So it's like, I think we're just, eventually we'll get to the point where 6 people can get punished for playing 6 blasts. Yeah. You know, I mean, we will get there soon, right? People have to deal with that, because if they didn't, then we would have more calls for like banning all of that shit. You know, like we need to ban the shit that's causing us to play 6 red blasts. At the same time,
I keep calling for it, but nobody's listening.
I mean, I think that like the idea of calling for I mean, I made a whole rap about it at this point, but like I think calling for bans of one card, we talked about it last time. I think calling for 1 card ban or just the cards out of Delver, it's not going to be enough. You know, like the pillars of the format are what they are. They're all egregious design mistakes from the past couple of years, and that's just going to continue to be the case if you go one at a time. Like either the format, we need a huge overhaul, or we kind of just need to accept that the power level of the most powerful cards is so much far and away heavier than like the rest of the format, you know. And it's like that's part of power creep. So it's like you either can get rid of the majority of the power creep in such a way that it's not, you know, inherently close to one certain kind of deck, which is like blue cantrip decks, or you just accept that the power level is spread out across, like, you know, your cantrip shells, and then you have Urza Saga that's like competing with cantrip shells.
That makes sense.
Anyway, it is all to say that like Teferi and Narset are going to continue to make a bunch of other cards that wouldn't otherwise be broken in like high percentage meaningful ways. Like if Teferi and Narset didn't exist, but Karn did, and the Cat was just another version of like Karn Echoes, where it's just another easy kill when you combine 2 4-drops. It's like, okay, your deck is dedicated to putting 2 4-drops together. Like, I guess if you assemble 8 mana worth of cards that are both 4-drops, it's a reasonable thing that you would win the game. There are cheaper ways to combo with 2 cards, even if one of them is inherently very powerful. The Teferi Narset stuff, I also want to talk about the Teferi Narset stuff in a way where every single deck with Teferi and Narset in it is classified as a control deck or a mid-range deck, and it's not. It's a prison deck. Teferi and Narset are prison cards. They're not control cards, they're prison cards. They tell you that, they say your opponent can't do things. It's similar to Trinisphere.
You're playing stasis.
You're literally saying your opponent can't do things. Like Teferi removes the ability to use the stack. Narset removes the ability to use any of your card draw effects. Like, these are prison pieces. They're not like, they may have controlling elements to them, like they are draw engines for a dumb reason.
I mean, in some cases,
cards.
You might as well have a chalice on 1 out that only affects your opponent. You know, like
they're asymmetric prison pieces. And I think that like as people like as we play these decks, and you're like, okay, I need to figure out how to combat control. It's like you may want to look at how you combat prison, because the same ways that you combat, you know, 3-drop Haymaker prison style cards between like the like Trinisphere or like the Stompy decks, You might want to try and tackle the same way with the Teferi Narset decks. The difference is that Teferi and Narset are backed by Force of Will. And a lot of the times, if they slam a Haymaker, it'll be similar to like if Red Prison slams a Trinisphere, and then when you try and counter it on the stack, goes Simian Spirit Guide Pyroblast you, and you're like, oh, well, it's all rolled up. There's going to be times like that where it's all rolled up. But the deck isn't playing, like the Teferi Narset decks are not playing positionally. They're playing haymakers.
No, yeah.
You know, there isn't
It's,
like,
it's almost like blue tap out control back in the day. Like they're slamming something and it's like, do you have it or no?
yeah, and I think honestly that's the correct way to be building Teferi and Narset decks. Like those cards are powerful enough that if they stick, it is so difficult to get them off the board unless you're playing like goblins or something that doesn't care about the static abilities.
Yeah.
That like the best way to actually play it is in that type of haymaker style, where I'm just going to slam all of them to the point where it's like it totally makes sense that Savine's Reclamation is the next step up after you've played all 8 walkers, right? 8 walkers plus 1 to 2 Savine's Reclamation, because you're just going to slam. And if they have the answer, you're going to slam again. And you're just going to keep slamming until you win the game off of them. And I think that's the correct way to build with those cards, because they don't, at 3 mana, they don't really allow for any maneuvering. You know, it's really hard to be like, how do I want to play my sorcery speed 3-drop? You just kind of throw it onto the battlefield, and if it sticks, it's going to win you the game, you know?
It's like they say, come on and slam, and welcome to the jam.
Welcome to the jam. I think that
Right.
that's the way that's the way to approach these decks. They are prison decks, and trying to approach them as though you're combating control, you're just gonna you will get punished by doing that. Like those cards are very good at beating up control, as most prison decks are. So either you either move really farther away and you play something like humans or go wide strategies that can deal with, or that don't really care about the static abilities on the walkers, or you really have to think about your sideboard plan and how you're going to combat these decks now that there are multiple I win buttons in combination with them. Like the same way that Karn plus mana is the auto win condition with Lattice, it's just I win buttons built, like inherently built in. Between Days Undoing and Cat, they just have auto I win buttons. That means that they don't have to keep you locked out forever. They just need to keep you locked out long enough until they get to their I win button. It's a really powerful, potent combination for the players that are doing that. And I don't think that trying to like beat them on the stack is going to be good enough, because all of those decks that are playing Teferi and Narset, the power level is so condensed into those cards. They take up so few slots in their deck that they can just play those and then stuff to protect the queen on those things. And those things will just win the game for them by themselves. Like between Teferi and Narset and Cat, it's 11 slots, right? It's the 8 walkers and maybe three cats. The rest of the deck is just stuff to protect those things, to protect the walkers. That's it. Like if you have 20 lands, or if you're playing 20 lands in your deck, and 11 spells, you can just dedicate the rest of your deck to protecting those 11 spells, and that's it. You're good. You're good. It's so condensed. It's so tight. And I think trying to beat them on the stack isn't good enough. Their entire deck is meant to protect those things that are going to lock your shit out. So I'm now just I'm reiterating myself over and over here now. But the point I want to make is these Jeskai mid-range, Jeskai control decks, they're not mid-range, they're not control, they're prison. Plan accordingly.
Phil, here's a question for you. Since we can go on talking about the combo all day long, but I think people get the point. Have you looked at any of the Secret Lair stuff? Like we should be getting the Street Fighter stuff soon. Is any of that stuff worth looking at?
I thought the Street Fighter or Secret Lair already came out, did it not?
Is it out? Is it already out?
I think it's already out, bro. But no, the competitive wise, there's nothing in those sets to be looking at. The Carpet of Flowers reprint. Let me tell you about a card called Carpet of Flowers. Carpet of Flowers is pretty powerful. I can tell you that. So when that Secret Lair comes out, yes. There is going to be a Secret Lair for the 30th anniversary that they haven't announced yet. Yeah. That I think will be pretty interesting. If
dual
they give
lands.
us, if they're just like, hey, here's reserve
dual
cards. Lands. I think maybe in that regard. They also, what's
the biggest IP that they could combine with, that they could like leverage their IP-ness to be like, you're just gonna reprint stuff off the reserve list for us? Like what, Star Wars?
Star Wars would be big. I guess
Disney?
Harry Potter would be big.
Disney?
Disney would be, yeah, they've already kind of reached into Disney.
Here's
with
the
Eldraine,
Magic
right?
Kingdom
Like
castle. It's going to be a
they've reached
volcanic island.
yeah, they've reached into those tropes. They could go there. I think they have said for all the secret lairs, though. Is it for all the secret lairs that at the very least that they would reprint like in Magic IP functional reprints of the cards that are in secret lairs for
minus the Walking Dead. Everything else will eventually see a Magic card, and I think I've gotten one or two of those in the from the Stranger Things one. I've gotten like versions of those cards, which are like okay, they're fine. They make a fine like commander card piece or whatever. Like I don't know. I haven't really, I didn't see any of those that looked like they were playable outside of Commander, so I didn't really take too much note of them.
Yeah.
Trying to look at the past. So like the past sales, like I haven't gotten anything since. Apparently, like if I don't know if you're right and the Street Fighter ones are out. I ordered those. I haven't gotten them yet, so we'll see.
Double check then. I don't know. Yeah. I the only secret lairs that I've ever gotten were very early on when secret lairs first started. I got the Bitter Blossoms because at the time the Bitter Blossom
was like
secret
$60.
lair. It was just cheaper to buy the secret lairs than to buy Bitter Blossoms. And so I was like, all right, I'll get the secret lair Bitter Blossoms. But that was also before we understood that secret lairs were just going to be like constant. It was like one of the first secret lairs.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, I'll pick those up. Yeah, now it's like I've picked up that I picked up that, and then I picked up the new one that has like Volkan Balga. Baga.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's in that. I forget. And then Kellogg's Loops.
Yep. There's all the artist spotlight stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff looked interesting to me. I guess that's the one with Berserk. I wanted to foil Berserk.
That Berserk art is really nice.
It's cool.
I don't know if you could pull it up on the screen here. It's the Berserk artwork is really good. And it's also nice because like Berserk has seen some splash in other decks outside of Infect too. Yeah. I know you've played Berserk in Shadow before.
Yeah, I still do.
It's really good.
I mean the real value, because I only like try and buy the ones that have some amount of value to them, like that are over the $30 asking price. Even though all of them, honestly, like you can't go wrong. They're gonna all pop up above that for the most part. It always happens. But I'm just not into spending like $300 every month on Magic cards. But I picked up the Kellogg's Loops one, and that one has Mystic Remora, which has never seen a reprint. So that's the first foil, right? First foil reprint. Retreat to Coralhelm, which is garbage. Burgeoning, which is a big card in EDH, and Utopia Sprawl, which is probably can use a reprint. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's just like he's playing Modern 2 in the bottoms of decks. So
yeah. I think also it gets played in what's called Enchantress.
It does play Enchantress, yeah. I have a question for you. That this was a debate that was going on. How do you feel about what kind of tokens should be allowed in tabletop Magic? Everybody knows that dice suck. Shouldn't be using dice.
You should not be using dice.
There's an ongoing discussion about what kind of are tokens from other IPs reasonable. I bring this up.
Okay, stop using Pokemon energy things. I hate it.
So you and I are at odds here. I use Yu-Gi-Oh cards for my angel tokens off my Entreaty Angels. If you've ever seen me play on 90s MTG, if I cast an Entreaty Angels, you will see me span several Honests. Honest is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. But let me tell you why.
Wait, you go on. Tell them why. I'm going to be right back.
I think the argument as to why people don't don't want tokens, I think that tokens are a really nice way to be able to customize your deck and express yourself. So I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. It's been a very long time. I played as a kid. But I remember that when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, eventually when I graduated to Magic once I had enough understanding of how game design works to recognize that Yu-Gi-Oh sucks.
Yeah.
And then realize how good Magic is.
Yeah.
But I graduated when I was younger to that step. Like I played Yu-Gi-Oh and then you
cosplay every year as the what's it called, as Joey, right? Yug, hey Yug.
Yeah, that's me. I always show up and just I act like an idiot. I always take the worst line and then I'm rewarded somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow I always fail upwards.
You cosplay as Joey at every Magic the Gathering event.
Yes, every single time. I'm always wearing my green trench coat and I'm always doing really epic dabs. Yeah. Anyway, the reason that I use Yu-Gi-Oh tokens, besides the fact that like they are different, they're different size from Magic cards. So like having a different size thing is just easier as like a separator in my box. So it's like it's easy in that regard. The other reason that I do it though is an homage to my history of playing cards my whole life. As a kid, I played Yu-Gi-Oh and I graduated from it. So there's more value beyond it just looks good to me, where I think to myself when I see somebody play a Pokemon card that we both understand, as long as the card has some kind of tangential connection.
It's fine, but I still hate it.
So here's an example. There's a guy who plays at the shop, the local that I play at every week. His name's Eddie the intern, and he always plays Urza Saga, and he uses like Magneton Pokemon cards to represent his constructs. Okay. Now that is tangentially close enough to what a construct is that it's like, okay, I can see how you're making this distinction that this is a construct and you're making a construct token. It's similar to why I use Honest in Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Honest is literally an angel. So when I make a bunch of angels, it still looks like an angel. So there's effort and thought behind it, but it's sentimental value. Hate it,
I have a confession. I got another confession to make.
Make your confess. Now is the time to confess.
So we got right here. We got the pilot, right?
I'm looking at it. I see the pilot.
Pretty nice, pretty shiny.
Pilot token.
But you know what's better than a pilot token? A rebel pilot token.
Yeah.
You know what's better than that? An imperial pilot token.
See, now we're talking. See, you get it. So you're on my side.
Now what if
you were arguing, but you're with it.
What if you want to make a Thopter? X-Wing.
Bang. Easy, bro.
No,
you get it.
Look, I hate Pokemon. Is really what it comes down to. Fire me. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. It makes me mad. I just feel like they're just ripping off little kids making the same game over and over again for Nintendo, and they're not making my Zelda games. And I'm mad because I want more Zelda games.
Bro, everything that you just said about them ripping off little kids, when it comes to Magic, we are those little kids.
Yeah, no,
they just make more powerful cards that we have to buy to play.
There is a guy out there playing D&D that's mad about Magic the Gathering because we're the little kids that are getting ripped off by Magic.
I know, bro.
But I say all that to say this: I love a dead card game, man. And I guess Pokemon's probably not a dead card game. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Pokemon's still very live.
Is Yu-Gi-Oh! Still alive too?
No, Yu-Gi-Oh! Still has a lot of play. I mean, it's still very popular. They are still going off. But
my rule is dead card games. You can only use stuff from dead card games still.
Well, it can be like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dead to me, and that I'm never going to play it again, right? So, like that. There's that.
You're done. You're trash.
I'm taking the firm stance that I'm totally on the side of as long as your tokens are some type of cardboard that can signal attacking.
Yes, as long as I can tell that it is upright or tapped,
right?
We're good, honestly.
Done. That's the eternal Durdles stance.
And no weirdo naked card things, man.
Yeah, get that weird anime. Being weird. Don't be weird about it.
No, don't do that.
Stop being weird about it. Okay. We're not shaming you.
That is as old as I have been playing Magic, by the way. Did I ever tell you about the first time I went to a Pro Tour qualifier? I was like 15, so this was like Mirage.
Somebody whipped out the hentai on you and your
dude. No, way worse than that, dude. This guy, and I was like 0-7, just playing it out. Like, ooh, I might get top 8, just losing constantly.
Bro, you can get there 2-7. Don't let anybody take the dream away from you.
This dude had his lucky cards that were in his top loaders. Just had top loaders, that were all in front of him, between me and him. And it was like Crystal Rod. And it was just like a picture of a dong that he cut out of a magazine. What are you doing? What are you doing, guy who's 25 and I'm 15?
Get out of here with that. Get it out of here.
No.
That guy gotta go. He gotta go.
Yeah. He had a cursed rack and it was just boobs. that he
Yeah,
like
get
cut
that
out of
outta
a
here.
magazine. That's ridiculous. Stop
Get it
doing that
out.
stuff. Stop
Get it
doing
out.
the titty anime thing. That's also not okay. Like,
It's not it.
do that with your friends at home in your commander group where everybody knows each other and you can tell a joke
Ain't it.
like that and no one cares. I don't care. But when you go out in public, present yourself like a human being. That's not okay. Come on. Rebel pilot, that's cool. Weird, like, anime thing that's going to make people uncomfortable. Don't do that. And I like anime. I'm a big fan.
Think about the people around you. Think about other people's experience around you.
And not just the guy that's across from you where you're like, oh, I asked him, he said it's fine. And like somebody, two people down is like, there's a 5-year-old playing Legacy Elves or something. And that kid's got to deal with it. Come on. Come on. No.
All right. Well, now that we got the anime titty goth section out of the way,
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to? I just wanted to talk about Teferi Narset egregiousness with the cat and how we just need to refocus that conversation. But otherwise, I'm just continuing to work on miracles. I'm going to be at the Legacy Pit Open in October. Nice. I will terminus your board, so be prepared.
Yep.
Know that you will have to navigate around a counterbalance if you sit across the table from me.
So where and when is the Legacy Pit?
Legacy Pit's in Richmond. It's on October 1st. It will be a large tournament that will have a championship title belt as the reward for winning said tournament. And against my better judgment, I'm going to play the deck that I enjoy, despite it probably not being as good as just slamming War of the Spark Plane.
Splinter Twin.
Play Splinter Twin.
Yep. I'm still on the fence about going. I really like to, but you know how it is.
Yeah, bro, I know it is, but just think about the new berserks that you're going to get to play in your Infect deck.
It do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that. Also, I know you got 8 cast, and 8 cast is one of the top decks. So
yeah, I do have 8 cast. I'm pretty psyched about if I go, I'll probably play 8 cast.
And people are like the 8 cast decks continue to get more and more streamlined. Yeah. So even like if you look at Mengucci's list that he won a big tournament in Europe with recently, where he cut the retrofitter foundry from the main. He was just like, nope, just the cleanest possible.
I agree. I agree with that. At the end of the day,
I agree with that.
As long as he converted his retrofitter foundry into currency converters.
There's also painter versions of the deck. So there's a couple of versions of the deck that have eschewed Chalice for painter just to have an I win button.
Yeah, you can
built into their deck, which is also totally fine. It means too that you get to free up some space. So how like in the classic 8 cast builds that Psi is really like is like one of your big payoffs, and so you're maxing out on Psi. The painter version is a little bit lower to the ground. They eschew Chalice, but they also eschew a bunch of the Psis because the whole point of your deck is just to assemble the painter combo.
Yeah,
you incidentally have the back door of Urza Saga. So
yeah, and not to mention like you can crack in with Kappa Cannoneer later on, right?
Yeah, crack them in there, right? Yeah. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think that's it for the most part. This is a shorter episode. We'll have more to talk about in the coming days as more announcements happen, I think. Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out MoxField. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Have a happy 4th of July. And if you got pets, make sure they're taken care of on the 4th of July. It's a scary time for pets.
And make sure that you sleeve up your Pokemon cards to use as tokens.
Yeah. All right. Be good, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out this other video. You'll probably like it.